So the long list nominees for the 2025 BAFTAs have officially been announced, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth lands on 7 of those lists, including Best Lead Performance for Cody Christian and Best Supporting Performance for the man himself, John Eric Bentley, as the voice of Barrett. So we're going to take a look at those long list nominations in today's video, so if any of that sounds cool to you, you guys know what to do by now. So some of you out there may be wondering, what the heck is a BAFTA? Will it help me pay my college tuition? Unfortunately, no. But the BAFTAs are an incredibly prestigious award show that take place in the UK, and it stands for British Academy of Film and Television. And to really hammer home just how big these awards are, they are essentially the UK equivalent of the American Oscars, which some people might hear the Oscars and turn their nose up and think, oh, the Oscars, that super snooty, snobby event. Perhaps it is those things, but being nominated for an Oscar and a BAFTA is a pretty big deal within the entertainment industry, because it really is the best of the best being nominated and then winning. And for the BAFTAs, they really focus on the artistry of the entertainment medium, which sounds like a jargon, but that just goes to show that they really do appreciate the work that goes into games, film, and television, which are the 3 entertainment mediums that they focus on. Now, when it comes to the gaming side of things, they're different from other award shows in that they don't do user votes, and they don't just let any old game journalist vote on these awards. The BAFTAs in the gaming section are decided by game developers, as well as industry professionals that have actually been in the gaming industry for a very long time. We're talking 5+ years, people who have held senior roles at different companies, so people who have experience, not just any old schmo who has a YouTube channel or some sort of blog on the internet. Now, you've probably heard me use the term long list a few times in this video, and you're probably wondering, what the heck is a long list? Well, a long list is a group of candidates that will get you to a short list. So in the case of the BAFTAs, for these nominations, you have 10 nominees in your long list. Those 10 nominees will then get whittled down to 5 nominees, and those 5 become your permanent nominees for that category. So being on the long list doesn't guarantee that you're going to actually become one of the full-fledged nominees, but we'll discuss that in a little bit. Now, as for the voting, it takes place for the gaming side of things, I believe, in January. The final nominations will get announced in March, and then the Gaming BAFTA Award Show takes place in April. So this is kind of a lengthy thing. Now, let's take a look at the long list categories that Rebirth made it into, and they include Artistic Achievement, Audio Achievement, Music, Narrative, Technical Achievement, Performer in a Leading Role for Cody Christian as Cloud, and Performer in a Supporting Role, John Eric Bentley as Barrett. Now, as I rattled off those nominations, you may have noticed Game of the Year was not on there. The BAFTAs do have a Game of the Year, it's called Best Game, and they're pretty strict when it comes to the nominations, and unfortunately they don't allow remasters or remakes to be eligible for that award. So unfortunately, games like Rebirth, Silent Hill 2 are not going to be nominated for Best Game, even though you can make the argument that while they are remakes, they still do enough different to be a new game. But I do appreciate that the BAFTAs at least have a firm stance on what can and cannot be eligible, unlike the Game Awards, which is just kind of willy-nilly with their categories. Now, going back to the earlier list, we have Artistic Achievement, which is essentially the best visual art for a video game. So a game like Rebirth, which is very beautiful, has a really great art style. Again, I really love the way the characters look. I love the way the worlds in the different regions look. But again, that art style really makes that game look and feel super unique. From the slums of Midgar to the Vegas-like atmosphere of the Gold Saucer to a backwoods place, as Zach would call it, of Nibelheim. It's a very beautiful game. I love the visual look of that game. I think it's impressive. Now, Best Audio Achievement is essentially sound design. So how the sound is designed, how it's implemented, the use of music and dialogue to really kind of shape the experience that we have as players. Again, Rebirth really kind of knocks it out of the park when it comes to that stuff, from the way the weapons sound to the spells to, again, I pointed this out in our Game Awards video, but the sound of simply staggering an enemy in that sound that plays when Cloud goes into Punisher mode and counters an enemy, it's super satisfying. Here we go. So the sound design in that game is splendiferous. Music is pretty self-explanatory. Basically think of it like best soundtrack, best use of music. Rebirth, again, phenomenal soundtrack from top to bottom. There's a song for just about everything. If you could poop in that game, I guarantee you there would be a theme for pooping and it would go hard. I also think about a song like No Promises to Keep and how it was written and structured and eventually implemented into the game. It wasn't just this big, beautiful song that was meant for a big cutscene in the game. It's a character song for Aerith. She spends so much time trying to find the right words to write this song because this is her saying goodbye to the party. She knows this is the last time they're all going to be together, actually having fun and being happy, so she wants to try and find the right words to say goodbye to them and let them know how much they mean to her. It's not just a song for Cloud, it's a song for the entire party, and these characters have really been on a journey with one another, and eventually they're gonna have to say goodbye, but it's okay because they'll see each other again. So that's one of the things I really appreciate about the music in this game, is not just that it's good, but it's how everything is implemented, whether it's a battle or a cutscene or even just a conversation with an NPC. They really did put a lot of thought into it. Next is always the controversial one, narrative, which I personally do like the narrative of Rebirth, but again, we don't have the full story because Part 3 isn't out. But I do like the twists and turns they took with the game. I like the risks they took with the end of the game, sacrificing the death of Aerith, confusing the player, really making you question, what am I seeing? What's going to happen in the third game? I think it's really masterfully done, and the fact that people are still talking about it all these months later shows that it really is kind of clicking with people. And again, when Rebirth won Best Narrative at things like the Golden Joystick Awards, and it being nominated for Best Storytelling at Jeff Keighley's event, it is showing that people are genuinely clicking with that story and seem to be on board with what the developers are doing. Now, when we get to technical achievement, that is really the technical aspects of the game, from like AI, how the game renders the image, physics, engine mechanics. We know Rebirth is a little spotty on that, so I don't see it winning the technical achievement, but what they are able to achieve on the PS5 with Rebirth in some of those big boss battles and some of the big set pieces is pretty impressive. And sure, there is pop in with, some of the region areas and the textures. The lighting is also a little weird in some spots, and the physics can tend to get a little bit carried away. I'm specifically looking at you party members when we're running around a table or an environment that has chairs or pots, and your party just decides to ram into those things, knocking them over. Although I will say, running over the potted plants in Costa del Sol while you're riding a Segway is incredibly satisfying, and no other game that has come out this year has allowed me to do that. So my bias has me voting for Rebirth for this achievement. But up next, we have two of the most prestigious categories, that is Performer in a leading role for Cody Christian and Performer in a supporting role for John Eric Bentley, again, who voices Barrett. And just to kind of give you an idea of some of the people that have been nominated in these types of categories at the BAFTAs in the past, we have people like Mark Hamill, who was nominated for his performance as the Joker in Batman Arkham City, Laura Bailey, who was nominated for her role as Abby in The Last of Us Part 2. Regardless of how you feel about the game, I wasn't too crazy about the story, and the game honestly really depressed the hell out of me. I thought Laura Bailey's performance was phenomenal. Najee Jeter, who was the voice of Miles Morales in Spider-Man 2, won the award last year, and having revisited that game, he really does give a great performance as Miles that is super heartfelt and super inspiring. You've also got Daisuke Tsuji, who is the voice of Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima. I have brought up Tsushima so many different times on this channel, and if you haven't played it yet, what are you doing? It's an incredible game from top to bottom, one of the best open world action adventure games I played in the past 5 years. Satisfying gameplay mechanics, gorgeous world to explore, beautiful music, and incredible performances from the entire cast. You gotta check it out, it's incredible. And you'll notice some Rebirth isms within Tsushima if you play it, because Tsushima was a big influence on the remake trilogy. And you also have one of my personal favorite nominees and winners, Christopher Judge, who was the voice of Kratos, winning for his role in God of War Ragnarok. And some people might think, oh, it's Kratos, he's just monotone and boring. How did he win that award? Listen. Kratos used to be a bloodthirsty, vengeance-filled character who screamed a lot and was always angry. And if you had told me all those years ago that there'd be a version of Kratos that is very nuanced, has layers, and will make me cry, I would not have believed you. But Christopher Judge adds so much dynamic to that character and really breathed a completely different life into that role. So I think he deserved that win. he got it. So that's just to kind of give you an idea of some of the people who have been nominated in these categories. And for Cody, we've talked ad nauseum about how wonderful Cody is in Rebirth. He really understands this character and knows how layered a character like Cloud Strife really is. And through the course of Rebirth, you see Cloud open up so much more, and you see different facets of his persona, so to speak. Because we do know that there is definitely a version of Cloud that is yet to be discovered. But Cody really does make Cloud feel layered. He can be a bit of an asshole, he can be open, he can be nonplussed. One of my favorite moments is when Yuffie gives her big spiel to the party in Costa del Sol, and Cloud is just like, cool, and then walks away.
Cool.
But he also has those moments where he's super vulnerable and he's scared, and Cody nails that to a T. But I want to focus on the man himself, John Eric frickin' Bentley, the voice of Barrett. Now again, because these are long lists, these are not guaranteed nominations, there's a chance that Cody and John will not make it to the nominations, but I think, personally, just going off of my own kind of grasp of who's nominated and how well received these games were, I think there really is a good chance that Cody and John will make it. But John's performance as Barrett in the remake trilogy is phenomenal. I mentioned in previous videos that you can kind of pick any person in the cast and consider them an unsung hero based on how incredible their performances are, but John Eric Bentley is just on another level. That man takes this franchise, puts it on his back, and just runs with it. He took a character like Barrett, who could easily become a caricature, and made him so nuanced. And when you see interviews with John and he's talking about this game and he's talking about the role of Barrett, you can see how much he truly cares about getting this performance right. And he's mentioned in past interviews, he didn't want Barrett to come off as a caricature. He wanted him to feel like a fully fleshed out character. He wanted to pay respect to the developers who created this character and are now bringing them back for the remake trilogy. And one interview I really love to reference is the Otakon panel that took place a few months ago. And in that cast panel, John gets really overwhelmed with emotions talking about the character of Barrett and how he used the passing of his father to motivate his performance as Barrett, specifically in the scene where a character like Dine is passing away in Barrett's arms. And to see John gets so overwhelmed with emotion talking about that experience and how much that character means to him, it makes me incredibly emotional. And I'm legitimately so overjoyed that John is on this long list, and I truly hope he makes it onto the short list because this man deserves his goddamn flowers for his performance in this remake trilogy as Barrett Wallace. He is so fucking good. That is how incredible he is. I'm swearing, I'm so serious. And you toss anything at that man and he's gonna give you 777% in whatever you give him as Barrett, whether it's a comedic situation, a serious situation, an angry situation. There's just so many examples to pull from Rebirth, you know, spoiler alert, but towards the end of the game when the rest of the party finds out that Aerith has been killed, one of the first people to react in that scene is Barrett, and he literally tells Sephiroth, "I'll kill you." And hearing that anger in his voice, "I'll kill you!" Hearing the sadness as he's feeling the life leave the body of his best friend, who unfortunately snapped and became a killer and could not remember the humanity that he used to have. So that's just a long roundabout way. I took the scenic route to say that John is phenomenal, and I've been screaming at the top of my lungs that he deserves a nomination for his performance. It didn't happen at the Golden Joysticks. It didn't happen at Jeff Keighley's Game Awards, but it is happening at the BAFTAs, and I'm crossing my fingers that he makes it to the 5 nominations for supporting role, and I hope that he eventually wins because he really is one of the, if not the most unsung hero of this remake trilogy. John is phenomenal. So again, just a reminder, none of this is official. We still got to make it through those long lists, but I'm crossing my fingers, and I hope you guys are too, that Final Fantasy VII, specifically Cody and John, can make it into those final categories and be official nominees. With that being said, that is the video. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think so far of these nominations? Are you familiar with the BAFTAs? And what do you guys personally think about the performances in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? And do you have a favorite? I'd love to know in the comments down below. I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to always be excellent to one another.